Friday Fortnite week number 10 is in full force as we're entering in now toward our winners quarterfinal match, of course, here through and actually in the casting room, the casting desk, etc. It's myself, Landon Lando Sanders, joined alongside by Taylor, Reflections Noble, and Jordan, a.k.a. Legion. Boys, we're getting able to watch the four-time champions, of course, newly established as of last week, four-time champions in Tfue and Cloaksy. Here, like I said, in winners' corners, facing off against Nick A30 and ProHenis. Any really things to take note of, as this is our first map regarding the landing locations.
Yeah, you already know both teams look like they hit up the Snobby Shores area. Of course, we know you have to get 7 chests in the Battle Pass. It looks like it was a very fruitful landing. Both teams ending up with a couple of kills. At least we're seeing 4 for FaZe, and then on the right for Nick A30 and ProHenis, we're seeing a total of 5, so only 1 ahead of the FaZe boys is Nick A30 and ProHenis. Of course, though, this is a great spot to land, like I said, because the Battle Pass also you can rotate to cut off the people from Valhalla, kind of coming down. Maybe they didn't catch the Rift, and then you can rotate in towards Greasy or Tilted, depending on where you want to go. So not a bad drop, even though it's a little bit kind of weird depending, but Season 5, it seems perfectly normal.
Yeah, and perfect Tfue finding that rift, right? Getting ready to just pop into this thing, knows he's got a long ways to go, trying to find his way back into the circle. And, of course, it looks like he's actually just going to be taking advantage of your going to Viking Village. No, they're going to use up all the rifts. Smart play. We talked about this already today. No escape for them.
Oh, there's another rift as well.
It's going to be rift.
My goodness. This is actually insane to see. Now they're going to have a massive advantage when it comes to Nick A30 and ProHenis are doing this the hard way, essentially, by making their way up through the mountain. And also, I want to give a quick shout-out to the Friday Fortnite stats team, Getaboos and Fortnite, a.k.a. King J, who have been helping me kind of analyze exactly what's going on throughout the tournament and also providing a lot of awesome stats throughout heading into week number 10 as well. They've been seeing a lot of teams so far throughout the tournament in total have been rocking, going either Snobby Shores or Viking, using a rift to get toward Greasy, then using a rift to get toward Tilted Towers. That could be a newly established route in Friday Fortnite that we haven't obviously seen yet because of the newly added rift system. It's absolutely absurd to see like the amount of travel that you can make, and of course both our squads have covered a majority, if not half the map already in a matter of seconds, guys.
There's just something about Tfue with the hunting rifle that's just almost unmatched. We see that from the rooftop. Just nice little quick scope. Knows he's got his teammate down there on bottom trying to get some shots off on him as well. Manages to get the pop shot off. And, of course, we're going to see if he can go to work here. Waiting for that head peek. But, of course, Nick A30 and ProHenis coming in. Slowly here trying to get some assistant kills as well.
Yeah, one thing they did with the hunting rifle is they actually reduced the hunting rifle aim assist when targeting at least the targets because they wanted to kind of match the other sniper rifles. So kind of a little bit of a nerf there, but obviously Tfue making it look like there's nothing. You can't nerf Tfue. That's the thing, right? Who knows, man? Tfue is just an animal overall. He's got slurp juice there. He's got some minis as well. Bandages. He's looking pretty good. But notice he used that rift to come in on top of that house just outside of Greasy to mow down a player just below.
And I want to ask you guys, too. I mean, regarding, like, this particular tournament, week number 10, we don't have Ninja and Hysteria, the regular duo, who, in past tournaments has even won, has obviously placed in the top 4. We also have Myth and Hamlins, who, of course, finished second last week as well. A lot of people were saying, hey, this is going to be a really easy tournament for FaZe. But at the same time, though, we have to talk about the ability for Season 5 to really play a massive portion. Do you think that maybe FaZe in this particular spot, heading into Season number 5, the way that the map is new, you think this is going to benefit them, or do you think it's going to kind of hurt them in some cases because they're kind of starting from the same stages as every other player in this tournament? The massive amount of knowledge that they had coming in from Friday Fortnite really released in the factor of them knowing exactly how Season 4 map played out. Now at Season 5, we got, 3-4 new locations, new routes, of course, that are newly being established right now. Do you think this is a great opportunity for them that really pays off more since we don't have some of the top teams in the world in it? Or do you think that now Season 5's in play, it actually hurts them more than it would have in prior weeks?
They're one of the best teams in the world in terms of adaptability, and I just feel like their versatility as a duo, they're one of those squads that you hate to have to play against in a tournament, right? Because what they're so good at is they're good at on-the-spot making changes and adjustments that a lot of other teams, they may not be taking a great consideration before these matches, but Tfue and Cloaksy, they want to keep winning that money every week. You know what I'm saying? They want to come back here every week to compete. And what do? They strategize, and they obviously love to play this initial passive, make their way in. Of course, right now you're seeing Nick A30 and ProHenis only down by 1 elimination, but that's because the pace of the game is built specifically for Tfue and Cloaksy at this bottom 25. You start to see these numbers dwindle down. Their playstyle in general is catered to trying to find those remaining players. Eliminations are going to be in the game. Let's see if Nick A30 and ProHenis can kind of keep up with that as well. Both obviously in the same area of the map, and obviously doing a great job. Now they're actually leading as well.
You know, one thing I talked about in the previous tournament, especially whenever we were recording the recap video, was one of the issues or one of the things that kind of stood out to me whenever it came to opponents to at least FaZe, Tfue, and Cloakzy. Whoever stayed with them and kind of mirrored their strategy fared off a lot better. We saw off the drop Nick A30 ProHenis. They dropped Snobby with Tfue and Cloakzy, and because of that, that's why we see the game so incredibly close, because they've been able to kind of mirror the strategies and play off of to where they're rotating through. So honestly, for me, I would have to say overall, Nick A30 ProHenis did exactly what they needed to do. But whenever it comes down to kind of answer your question, Landon, do I think at least it's going to affect them? I think it might affect them a little bit because their rotations were set in stone. Salty was where they went, or Shifty. That's overall, that's it. So now they're kind of figuring out the rotation just as every other team is.
I'm going to point out quickly on our screens what we actually saw, where you guys were obviously discussing the analysis behind certain situations with the new map and whatnot. Actually, Tfue and Cloakzy, as they were putting up that ramp, put down the bounce pad, jumped off of it, and then from there threw a clinger down to try to cover their tracks. I believe either Hennis and or Nick A30 either got it, they put down another one, and now they're kind of advancing. So interesting little strategy coming through from FaZe here, trying to cover their tracks, making sure that the clinger kind of disguises that, and overall it's going to quickly slow down the pace of Nick A30 and ProHenis. Like I said, based off their play for right now, they've been going to the exact same locations as FaZe Clan. Do you guys think that's maybe something that teams should be doing in the future, is following in FaZe's footsteps to kind of counter them a little bit? Because I believe last week, Cypher was doing the exact same thing, following every single team and trying to follow up to steal every one of their kills.
I think it's the smartest thing you can do. I mean, they're such a deadly force together that if you're Nick A30 and ProHenis, that you're going to want to play together. You're going to make sure that you can push with these guys and try to at least get every elimination you can. You start to separate. Tfue and Cloakzy, you're not going to lose those battles. You're better off trying to steal those kills, those engagements that they're going to be in. Then I would probably say just let them be on their own, because more than likely they're probably not going to lose it. And that's that back and forth switching roles that we talk about every week from Tfue and Cloakzy. No matter where they're out of the map, no matter what positioning, they're always going to be able to trade off and know appropriately what to do, right? This isn't obviously there's roles in this game, but duo specifically, you got to play a couple roles if you're going to want to be the best duos, and that's what Tfue and Cloakzy are so good at. But of course, you're seeing 11 total eliminations now, all tied up. 11 total engagements left in the game here, and I'm just excited to see who's going to be able to come out on top.
Yeah, Nick A30 ProHenis has been playing extremely well whenever it comes to overall strategy-wise, rotations. They've been engaging incredibly well, too. We saw Nick A30 just get 2 knocks. He's going to go ahead and go for the finish. ProHenis playing that great support role as well. He's kind of building up a platform. RPG will be coming in. He's got to be a little bit careful, but that's going to give away the enemy's position. It's going to give him free reign to kind of push up. And we see the ATK in the hands of Cloakzy. He's trying to get that distance between Nick A30 and ProHenis as the final engagements are remaining. But for the score to be this close, it is showing, obviously, Season 5 is kind of waning down a little bit on FaZe whenever it comes to the rotations overall. They don't have that advantage because those rotations that they had before were absolutely solid, so now it's kind of even playing ground as we are seeing as of yet, but Cloakzy's got to be a little bit careful. Defensive building, getting that high ground up. ProHenis coming in from the back as well, looking to get a knock. We see some knocks on your screen. ProHenis looked like he got one. Tfue as well. They're battling back and forth, and I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. No team so far, at least in this tournament, has pushed FaZe to the wall as we're seeing now.
Yeah, and one thing, too, when we talk about rotations, as we do see a nice knockdown actually come through there from Nick A30, top right of our screen, the ATKs can absolutely play a huge factor. When we talk about the ability for a late game, you're kind of trying to find those last few kills, et cetera, how those things can kind of partake. You rock an ATK, and you can kind of be zooming past the FaZe boys, past Tfue and Cloakzy, who, obviously are very preferred when it comes down to, their utility. They are very heavily on making sure they always hit a bounce pad when it came down to late game. And now it could be the factor of bounce pads kind of being countered by the ability of the ATKs, kind of having that multiple options for, kind of maneuverability, rather, around the map. But, along with that, we do see nice plays coming through from Tfue, knocking down yet again another player to equal up to 8 eliminations in total. That's more than the entire lobby, but regardless of that, though, players in second and third happens to be Nick A30 and ProHenis at 7. Very close game right now, gentlemen.
Yeah, 14-14, couldn't get any closer even if you scripted it. We're just seeing another engagement happening as ProHenis finding a player just up ahead. They have done a great job in terms of rotating through, playing the edge of the storm, trying to see where these players are going to be coming in, trying to fight it out, but they got to be very careful. Obviously, not a lot of engagements remaining, and you got to just rush in there and just try and get it. But we see Nick A30. He doesn't need to rush in. He's lasering with his legendary Scar, that player up ahead trying to use an ATK himself, and he's just getting him damage after damage, and there is the knock coming in, and the Storm should finish him. Will he push, though? No, still staying very passive, staying behind. I believe this is going to be the final team overall. As we're seeing now on ProHenis screen, there's only 5 players remaining, which means there's only 1 engagement. Looks like he knows where he's at.
Oh, he stuck him, I think. Plunger to the head. Like Legion said earlier, a unicorn coming through here at the very end. Very nice
What sound
play.
does a unicorn make, Landon?
I mean, I could try to, maneuver one if you'd like.
I just was hoping for a real quick one out of you. I didn't know. I couldn't predict what you were going to.
See, I don't really know how to style one out because I immediately thought, okay, maybe a horse, and then it turned into like a pterodactyl in my head. It just the sound would not be good. I don't think.
A horse pterodactyl.
So the sound that I initially.
That was my nickname in high school too.
That is what you see in your nightmares. A horse pterodactyl just flying at you randomly.
They're all tied up here. This last kill is actually going to determine who's going to be taking the lead as we go into game 2. And hopefully, it's a fun one.
And it looks like, too, like we talked about Tfue and Cloaksy, their ability to kind of find these last few engagements. And it looks like they might have just found this last player just as the rocket launch comes through. Did that one get stolen, or who was that actually found by?
I believe that was Tfue.
Yeah, I believe Tfue does find here the final elimination. Nice strategy from Nick A30 and ProHenis to hop in the ATK and just kind of survey the entire area, but Rogue Man happens to be hiding inside of a building, and the overall looks like, it's going to be Tfue and Cloaksy who do walk away with this game.
No, it's 16-14. Nick A30 and ProHenis actually are 16-14, so they're going to have a 2-kill lead going into game number 2.
Do they will, yeah. And so kind of looking on board with Matt number 2 regarding the future landing zones for both of our squads, do we think we see something similar to Snobby Shores, then into Valhalla? Then we saw a lot of Rift usage and a lot of kind of plays regarding ProHenis and obviously his teammate by basically trailing FaZe the entire time, almost enough to frustrate them to put down a bounce pad and then toss out a clinger to literally cover their tracks. That's how much they were on their heels for the very beginning of the map and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
I hate Snobby Shores. I literally hate Snobby Shores. It's like I think I would rather land in the forest than Divot at this point in my career of playing Fortnite. Yeah, because with that many people running, you're trying to get all those chests, man. That's so risky off the rip. I'm telling you. Go Viking, look down, try to get some of those cleanup kills. You've obviously got the rifts up there. If there's not a lot of teams going Snobby, you can kind of dip out. Maybe if you know that Tfue and Cloaks are going to go the same route again, if you're, ProHenis, obviously, and Nick A, maybe you drop there, destroy all those rifts so they got no chance. Obviously, it all depends on where the circle's going to go, but that's a pretty close last game. Still not really entirely sure what the score was. I'm just going to be honest with you.
16-14.
Okay, cool, yeah. Counting is really hard. I tell you what, I use all my fingers and then my toes occasionally, but...
Yeah, we actually take off our shoes on occasion.
Yeah, we take them.
We take off our shoes on the occasion to okay.
Oh, the last guy jumped. Last guy actually eliminated himself. So.
Oh wow, that's right.
Shout out to 2 series in a row where somebody is just following the storm.
It really is. It's so annoying too, especially to be in a situation like that. That kill probably means so much when it comes down to the series. The guy's like, you know what? Here we go. Rocket launch, just dead. Just out.
He's like,
that.
dude, I'm gonna hit this rift.
Hey, I respect it.
Third place finish.
Doesn't even turn
you go out the
off,
way you want to go out.
You
go out the way you want to go out. You know what I'm saying? So just you kind of control it a little bit. But you ask, do we see him going Snobby? Possible. It's all depending on at least the projectile of the bus. Where is the bus going to be heading to? But honestly, Snobby, I would consider that almost to be a hot drop at this point. We saw them come out with at least close to 3 team eliminations overall combined between the two. So it's almost like a hot drop. Do we see the same thing going again? I don't know. But the question is, do we see Nick A30 and ProHenis kind of stick with FaZe overall? Because that's the question. That's what they did in the beginning. That's what worked for them. That's what they need to do in the second game.
I think that's what they need to do?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's what they need to do. I think they've been studying the bracket, and obviously, everybody's been watching the FaZe boys play. So if you are them, why not do what just worked to get you the lead at this point? Maybe you just even stick a little tighter. You have the lead. Oh my gosh, are they going to go Paradise Palm?
It definitely looks like it.
He's zoomed in on it.
Hit that desert.
Oh, it's right off the jump, too.
Oh, my goodness. That's there's an endless amount of kills. I want to see Tfue and Cloaksy absolutely go in as a duo here and see how many kills or eliminations they can get together. This would be super exciting.
So they are the 4-time champions. I think we can give them a little bit of a credit to be like, hey, you guys can have some fun on occasion. And based off the bus location, they are heading for those dunes here. As, of course, we talked about the major area of that being Paradise. But we'll see if they'll be living in it, as it looks like the drop is going to be coming through, depending on what buildings they like to go to. We talked about FaZe, very strategic team regarding their landing spots, so they maybe try to go for the rifts off the start to try to get a better position, or do they have some buildings in mind to try to hit toward off the start? And it looks like along with FaZe, Nick at 30, ProHenis doing exactly what you thought, Taylor, to stick along the heels of FaZe Clan heading into map number 2.
Yeah, definitely what they needed to do. We see ProHenis and Nick A30. They're going to be kind of hitting out the outskirts, and I like this play. It almost mimics what the salty push that we FaZe kind of made famous. Almost or comes with the houses. You go houses and shifty, kind of push into the shifty shafts kind of thing for Ninja and Hysteria made kind of popular. I like it overall because dropping into the city is very, very volatile. You never want to do that because there's so many players still going there. So now they have plenty of options, and already an ATK in the hands of Tfue, not wasting any time, as he also used a rift right off the bat as well. So liking what I'm seeing so far. Very controlled. Yes, it's a hot drop, but they're controlling it even better. So it's exactly what they needed to do.
And I actually think this is an interesting thing to take note is they do not drop directly into the city. That is not what you're trying to do. You're not trying to drop hotel, potentially get shot at from 4 different angles. They're actually just doing some rollovers here in an ATK. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about, fam. Having a fun time, potentially winning, another 10 grand for your 5th time. But at this point, Tfue and Cloaks are just making their way in slowly, making sure that they don't do anything too crazy. But of course, they're going to spot a player. And let's talk about that grenade launcher in the back pocket of Cloaksy as well. Just drive-bying. Look at this. Good night.
And he's also doing it with the drum gun, which has a little bit of a history when it comes down to shooting in vehicles. Kind of having the 1920s, 1930s, etc. Kind of having a drum gun out the window was a typical strat. And one thing too, along the line sides of vehicles, as I quickly transition this, is coming from an H1Z1 background, we talked about other BR games having those vehicles, how influential they are when it comes down to those games. Tfue and Cloaksy both played that one, especially Tfue at a very high level, a pro player when it comes down to that game as well. So you could argue when it comes into vehicles in BR games, these guys are already experts at it. They know how they work. They know which situations to use them in as well. So that could be another little vantage point that we look at here for Season 5 and say, hey, for Tfue and Cloaksy, their history in BR games actually works out very, very well.
It definitely does. And one of the things, too, is Tfue and Cloaksy just work so well as a duo overall. You actually had an interesting stat that you tweeted out recently about the Friday Fortnite. Whenever it comes to Tfue and Cloaksy, what was it? They both equaled out at 111 kills. They literally had identical stats in the previous tournament, which is absolutely unheard of. And like you said, shout out to the stat team. Actually, you were the one who came up with that. But look at this, trading off a couple of resources overall. We're seeing Tfue now with 3 total kills himself and 2 on the hands of Nick A30 and ProHenis, which means they still have about a 1 kill lead overall. So still looking pretty solid, pretty good. They've rightly so, I think we could say, took over Paradise overall. So they're going to be pushing out. But I think Tfue and Cloaksy, they'll have a little bit of advantage. Are they all riding in the same carts? What is this?
This is exactly what you like to see. I mean, teamwork really does make the dream work. And if I was actually the guy driving this vehicle, I would, if sabotaging was allowed, I would have driven the cart off the cliff and murdered all 3 of us. Left my teammate in a 1v1.
I thought about that earlier because I was just going back to PUBG where I'd be playing with a random person and I would have him drive and I'd just put all my faith into him. And he would just drive straight off a cliff. And I don't know who he was, but he was trolling me out there.
Shout out to you, Chad 91444.
He would definitely do that. But yeah, I do like the fact that they're helping each other out. But I noticed there's only 3 in the cart, which means, or not, I guess they're all 4 there. I couldn't see somebody in the passenger seat.
There's 3. ProHenis actually has his own.
Oh, he has his own.
He's kind of like, okay, well, you can go scout with the other team. I'm just going to go ahead and go with myself. FaZe Nick A30 confirmed. Hashtag. Make sure to tweet it out and blow up everyone's timeline. That's all. That's actually
Nick
all it
just
costed.
looks so friendly. It looks like he would.
He's
offer,
Canadian, right?
He looks like he would offer you a beverage and a snack.
He's probably
as soon as you came over to
apologizing.
the house.
As soon as he hopped in the car, he's probably like, guys, I'm so sorry, but I have to do this.
I need to.
The type of guy who could win a game and apologize for winning.
I think it's fair to say he would be that person in this lobby.
I did actually. So I played in a Smash tournament one time, and a kid literally apologized. I didn't hit him a single time in the game.
Yeah.
In the set.
And he apologized?
He apologized, which actually just made me angry.
Reverse psychology.
It was like, oh yeah, it was a great game. Thanks, man.
That's all he wanted. He wanted to make you mad.
Oh, Tfue gets clipped out
from a sniper of 47 meters away, and I believe Cloaksy's going to have to try to rebound and realize the situation. Actually, no, it's going to be Nick A30 who happens to be right alongside Tfue, and of course, being taken down. This is Nick's opportunity to find a few excess eliminations, and I believe along with that, Tfue does get fully taken out. Permanent 1v2 for Cloaksy for the rest of this game. At the same time, ProHenis is knocked down as well. And taking a look at this, Nick A30 on the screen of ProHenis also falls. So just in a matter of moments, 3/4 of our lobby is taken down, and Cloaksy is driving his ATK off into the sunset.
He's pulling a typical gamer, and he's like, you know what, I'm out of here. I'm not even going to engage at this point. I don't know if they overtook the lead. I don't think they did. So I think at this point, ProHenis... I believe ProHenis is still up by 1 kill, and so what that means, obviously, Cloakzy needs to get 2 in order to secure it, or get 1 to force a game of 3.
Well,
of course, we're getting a score update, but Cloakzy, he's riding off in the sunset. He's going for those easy kills. He dipped out. Still down by 1 kill, so official. Cloakzy needs to pick up 2 kills if they want to overtake this game.
But really, who would have thought that Sunday golf with the boys would have turned into a crime scene?
See, that's the thing.
Everybody's just trying to hang out on the ATK. Next thing you know, Philip's there with a Tommy gun and just light up your whole team.
It would have
there
been
he
Philip,
is.
wouldn't it? Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, and here comes the sniper shot. He could do it
Cloakzy,
here.
come on, man. Hit some pop shots for us here on stream.
He's got to be very
Didn't
aware of
even
his
have his
backside
back
as
turned.
well.
Oh,
Yeah,
look at that. Ooh.
We had the
You owe
exact
me a
same thing
quarter.
going. Oh, do I?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or like
Pinch
a
poke.
few hundred.
You owe me a Coke.
Pinch poke, you owe me a G Fuel.
Oh,
where,
very clever.
Where are you from?
Just
I've never heard pinch poke, you owe me a Coke.
Really?
I'm going to use
I'm
that.
from-
Wait, you've never heard that?
No.
St. Louis, baby.
Seriously?
I mean, you guys also call Panera Bread St. Louis bread.
I don't say
company,
that.
I do
so,
not. I call
mean,
it Panera.
Don't say that.
Yeah,
It's actually a sin.
Don't throw words in my mouth.
So,
All right, so commentating again once again with
producer, by the way,
kind of
literally-
backing off in the distance. Yeah, producer keeping it straight. Goalie, shout out to you. See Cloakzy in an engagement. Look at this player, thinking he's so confident. You're challenging Cloakzy, and that's going to tie up the game. And of course, he just needs 1 more in order to overtake it and progress in the winner's bracket. But as we know, anything can happen. We saw all the players drop previously. Can Cloakzy pick it up? And that player's out in the open, not building up. But that's the
silent
elimination,
sub.
and that is it. The silent sub is going to finish it off, and we're going to see the FaZe boys move on in our winner's bracket.
Indeed, they will. And one thing that we can kind of take from this regarding future of the matchups the FaZe are going to have. If anyone was watching this game, you could argue the success rate for ProHenis and Nick A30 was pretty decent by strictly just following the opponents enough to where it was a frustrating moment for Cloakzy. Tosses out the Klinger in game 1 to try to cover their tracks, and in this game as well, you literally see Nick A30 apologize probably while getting in the ATK with FaZe to the point of literally just following them around the entirety of the map. And we look at this game ends out in a 1-kill overall changeup. But how close of a series would this have been regarding the strategy that they implement? I mean, if they do anything else, if they go toward a different landing spot, you could argue FaZe probably going to close out this game in a pretty easy manner just based off their history. Not at all the same story when it comes into this matchup.
Or that weird random separation where everybody was riding in the same ATK cards. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like you have your teammate go this way, you run off with the opponents, which actually I feel like although it was like a fun thing for the stream, it was actually pretty strategic because what he's hoping is that ProHenis is going to go off, get a few kills. Obviously, he gets like 2 knocks, right, which would have been super helpful for them. Unfortunately, he doesn't finish the kills. They do end up reviving them, and then he gets taken out as well.
Yeah.
That separation either benefits you or it doesn't. In this case, if I'm another team getting ready to go up against the FaZe boys here in winner's bracket, I'm hot dropping with them wherever they're going. I'm sticking with my teammate, and I'm just trying to play it out in that way.